Because I didn't actually realise, could that original idea about giving health information, inspiring and empowering people to take better control of their health and well-being for themselves and for their families, is that a business thing? And now we've realised it is.
Yeah. Hi everybody, I'm Duncan Krieger. Welcome to DefenderCast. Finally, we get a chance to show you guys something slightly different. We are recording a podcast, both in sound and on video, and I'm incredibly excited to bring the next few guests to you. Please hold on to your seats and enjoy the ride. Just before I go, I don't get a chance to do this very often. Please make sure that you leave a little comment wherever you're watching or listening. Thumbs up would be really nice, and subscribe so that you are kept up to date with what we're up to. There is a mailing list which I will ask you to subscribe to for all tab things, and most importantly, don't forget to give me some feedback because I'd really appreciate it. Hello, welcome back. Today I had the opportunity to interview a GP, a general practitioner. She is currently working as a GP, having been to medical school, decided she wanted to be a surgeon, spent 2 years training to become a surgeon, then took some time out and decided to become a GP. And in the meantime, she's had this idea festering of starting her own business, which I think is fantastic. We got a chance to talk about culture today, talking about how to make people's lives better. And DefenderCast is about business, property and positive thinking, and this was something really different, but we touched on the business aspect and the positive thinking aspect from a really just different dimension. So hope you enjoy meeting Dr. Laura David. Hello everybody, welcome back to DefenderCast. This is episode 6 of season 2, and I am here with my friend Dr. Laura David. We've spent some time together today already, which no doubt you will see, but also we will talk about, because Laura is doing some really cool stuff. So why don't you just say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Thank you. Hello everybody listening to Duncan's podcast. I'm Laura David. I am a mum and I'm a doctor, and I'm a founder of a new business called Smart About Health, which is a business looking at proactive and exciting ways of delivering wellbeing and health intervention in the workplace. And I'm really excited to come and talk to Duncan today.
I love how you introduce yourself as a mum first and foremost.
Absolutely.
Every time. Because
you know,
obviously for all of us as parents, it is fundamentally the most important thing, but I feel like in the kind of health sector, it's also even more makes you who you are.
I think so. And, you know, I absolutely, since having my children, it's completely changed who I am. So, and it is fundamentally the most important thing in life. It's the reason why I get up every day and do what I'm doing in my general practice, and why I want to create a business which helps people in the workplace, helps employers understand their employees more. And I wouldn't be, you know, even considering doing these new things if I didn't have children. I didn't have a reason for all of this. Yeah. Interesting.
So let's go back a bit, because you did consider and you followed through on a big plan that you had before you had children. So let's park Smart About Health for a minute, because we're going to come on to that and talk about it a lot, because I feel very strongly about the sort of direction you're heading in with it. So let's lead up a little bit more to your background and experience, or where you're at in your career.
Okay, well, maybe we should work backwards.
Yeah, okay.
But currently I am a fairly newly qualified GP, and I'm working in leafy suburbs of North London, in a couple of different circumstances. But looking back, I went to medical school. Maybe looking back to there is a good place to start, because when I went to medical school in Manchester, which was...
When did you first decide you wanted to go to medical school?
Well, I think, the school that we both went to, it gave me an impression that I should be pushing to go to medical school. You know, they give you some sort of careers advice. I don't know what it's like now. And, you know, I was obviously showing interest in science.
I did not get any careers advice at all at school.
No.
Nothing. Not even, I don't even think they felt interested or bothered. But I'm really interested in how two people could have gone to the same school at the same time and got such a different experience.
Well,
but anyway,
maybe it would be good to hear your experience as well then. I mean, I suppose I did get some careers advice. I suppose it was fairly limited, but just trying to play on my interests, which were, I was interested in science. You know, I don't know if doing triple science or whatever it was at GCSE makes you interested in science, but obviously I was all right at it. And then I did have an interest in arts and the human side, and it just seemed like a natural thing for me to go to medical school. However, I'm not one of those people that's got that story, oh, you know, one, I don't have the story, my whole family are doctors, so therefore I must be a doctor. And I don't have the story, you know, that suddenly I wanted to, you know, help people, I wanted to do good in life, I wanted to achieve that in life. That's not ever been my real desperate passion. Of course, that is all doctors feel, that they want to do those things. But I don't think I ever felt so super passionate that I had to be a doctor. However, I did go to medical school and I really enjoyed it. When you go to medical school, my experience is that you kind of don't really actually get fully prepared to be a doctor. Yes, you're studying medicine and you get exposure, you go on the wards and you know, but you're not actually really prepared to be a doctor by medical school.
Until your first day at work.
Yeah, your first day at work is like the first day ever.
A medical school, just like really just basic, like it's basically university for medicine, or would you describe it slightly differently?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's within a university, so all the medical schools are part of universities, and it's just the study of medicine, and it's done slightly differently in different schools, but it's not a specific school, but it's just a department. Yeah. Obviously quite a big department because there's so many medical students. So I did decide to become a doctor, and I don't think it was a wrong choice for me. Absolutely, I'm very, very happy to be a doctor. Yeah. I think it's an amazing privilege to have that opportunity and have that relationship with people. But my career wasn't entirely plain sailing and straightforward. I initially wanted to be a surgeon, and I was preparing myself to become a surgeon for a long time. Even sort of towards the end of my medical school career, if you want to call it a career, experience, I had decided I wanted to become a surgeon. I chose all my jobs, my house jobs, they call them, sort of looking at the particular areas that I wanted to cover. And then I went off and I started my surgical training for 2 years in Stevenage. And it was a really great place to be a surgical trainee. There's lots of opportunity, had really supportive, mostly really supportive consultants. And it was a great place to be. And there's a lot of change happening in surgery. It still is and will be for a time being very male dominated. And probably I'm not helping the statistics because I obviously left to become a GP. It is a great specialty, and it meant a lot to me to try and become a surgeon. I think, you know, the experience of actually having somebody's life there in your hands, their body open in front of you. I mean, let's not get too graphic, but it's unbelievable.
Some people will only be listening, so we're fine.
Yes, good thing it's only listening. So I did my 2 years of training, and in that period of time, my life kind of changed. I got engaged to Ben, my husband now, and kind of started thinking about my life and how I wanted it to be. And I think just from medicine puts you on a straight trajectory, and you find it really difficult to actually come off that path. And when you do come off and you start thinking about what else is out there, what are alternative careers, what else is meaningful to me in my life, because that's one thing you absolutely realise as a doctor, is that you only have one life. Yeah. And you only have one opportunity really in life.
Amazing. It's a huge, and I guess what you're saying, what I'm hearing is it's kind of a huge commitment to say that is the path I'm going, and that maybe there are more sacrifices, if you like, than a sort of normal day-to-day job. Because a lot of what you were just describing actually sounds very similar, I think, to what people go through, going through school, going through university, not really sure exactly, studying a particular subject, not sure exactly where they're going to show up, might do an internship, go and work for a company, and then just not be prepared. I guess nothing prepares you for your job like working
Absolutely.
But I feel like in medicine, it feels like a much bigger commitment to say, you know, an additional course could be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years before you actually get the knife in your hand and start pulling the strings, if you like. So there was a point where you thought, I need to make a decision about which way my life's going to go.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think coming back to your point about sort of being just on this pathway from an early age, is that medicine, you know, I went to medical school when I was 18. Really, I had no idea what I wanted from my life.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily, I'm one of the lucky ones that, yes, medicine did turn out to be a good option for me, but there were lots of people along the way that just thought, actually, no, how did I come to this decision? This isn't right for me. And that I think, you know, looking back, you think, oh, that was, you know, what kind of decision is that? But of course, it's great that somebody was able to make that decision.
It takes a strong person as well to be able to say, actually, that's not what I want to do now. You know, it's not exactly necessarily what I thought, or I hadn't considered what if I was going to be married, or if I had kids coming, what my sort of routine's going to be in my life, and how much time you can dedicate to your kids, and all these things are impossible to consider until it's sitting right in front of you.
Yeah, the more even people tell you, oh, this is what's going to happen in your future, and this is what it's going to be like if you have kids. And of course, you can look to mentors or more senior people to try and get that understanding. But when you're in it, you know, I was just like, okay, I'm a doctor now, and I go to work every single day, literally every single day, and most nights as well. And it is a really big commitment, especially when you're doing night shifts and weekends and long hours, and you just have to roll with it. You kind of don't have any time, space or energy to even think about what else could be out there, what other career options are there, what am I going to be prioritizing in 10 years time. And I suppose that's what happened to me in a way. You know, I felt passionately I wanted to become a surgeon, and I loved my surgical training. But when I started to see, this was a point in my life where I had to consider what else I wanted to achieve, I realised for myself, and this isn't necessarily for anybody else, this is just me, that I wasn't going to be able to achieve what I wanted to the level that I wanted by becoming a surgeon. And what that means is, you know, I felt that if I wanted to have children, which obviously I did because I've got 2 now, and I don't regret that 1 minute, am I going to be able to be a good enough surgeon and a good enough mother? And I felt that actually I probably wasn't. And that was a really hard realisation. And
like you said, that's for you. That was something, I'm going to turn this way so I'm not. That's something you clearly, and like I said, I think I applaud your sort of openness and honesty in testing yourself, because I think a lot of people get into like this mindset of, well, that's it, I've made that decision now, I've got to live with it. And that brings me interestingly on to, I guess, a light bulb moment one day going off where, having made this big decision and gone down the GP route, was there an idea about having your own business bubbling in the background, or did one day something happen that you thought maybe there's a life after medicine completely, or not medicine completely because the business is all about your experience and how to roll that out, but just sort of seeing the side to starting your own company and doing something?
So I think, you know, I did decide to do general practice for lots of reasons, mostly because it represented really much better quality of life and flexibility, but also the opportunity to really do whatever you want and to make your life your own. Because when you're in a hospital medicine job, everything is dictated by the hospital policies, you know, you and your colleagues, of course. You're much, so in a way, you're less autonomous in your decision making, not only about your own career moves, but about your patients, because you have to follow all these millions of protocols. And of course, we have ways of doing things in general practice, and we follow a general rule, but we're much more autonomous practitioners, and I believe that. But you know, it came to a point where I decided general practice, yes, that's the next best move for me. I obviously had already been thinking I'm going to get married. Now I'm going to have children in the next few years. But I suppose I didn't actually have any light bulb moment until I went off on my first maternity leave with my first daughter, who's now 4.5 and is going to school, and I can't believe how long she's been in this planet for. But yes, it's actually taking that time out of my medical career, because GP training was the same sort of level of intensity full time as surgical training, I still did nights, I still did weekends, I still did long hours.
So you don't get a chance to stop and breathe?
No, you don't get a chance to stop and breathe or really consider what else is out there. Although I was fully aware that general practice is going to give me a broader spectrum of opportunity.
Yeah.
And because I had my surgical experience, I knew that I wanted to have an interest in minor surgery or surgery to some degree in my general practice, which is great. You can do that. I do that still. Sense. But I didn't really have sort of a thought about, I'm going to go and do something out of medicine at that point. Until I went off with her, I started having some ideas. And my ideas were very much focused about my new experience as a mum, a new mum, and the world that opens you up to, which is a really scary world. And
for dads as well.
For dads, absolutely, mums and dads. But for me personally, I was starting to get all these messages as well from my antenatal group and my friends that all had babies the same age. Because I was a doctor, they were all looking to me for the answers about, what am I going to do if my baby's got a cough, or does this poo look normal? I literally, the amount of pictures of nappy content I've got deleted from my phone. I get a lot of pictures, put it that way, and of course I delete them and don't save them. But so I was starting to think there's a real market for helping new parents understand more about their own health, their baby's health, and how could I potentially tap into that market and create something that's really relevant and really useful.
Yeah, it's just kind of, I guess it's kind of almost like a TV thing, but like every doctor, they've always got friends calling them 24 hours a day asking, I've got something on my toenail.
That's not a TV thing, I promise you.
No, so in real life, I guess, I know some of our friends, one particular might call you a lot and ask a question. I guess, is that happen to you all the time, all day, every day?
A lot of the time. I think it's about how you manage that personally as well, because you do get into, or you maybe invite some more sticky situations with that. And giving advice to friends, of course, I will, as much as I can, help friends out.
Sometimes they just need to hear, you need to deal with this properly or independently.
Yeah, or if and they really respect us. Sometimes you might say to them, look, that you really need to get that checked out by your own doctor. I would say that 90% of the queries I get from friends now, because most of my friends have got children, it's about their children. I think that was highlighted today in the session. Children present a lot of anxiety to parents in terms of, in particular, their health, their well-being.
What was your stat around that? 8 people said
so look, there was a study by Nurofen, so which they obviously had their own objectives there, but they looked at 2,000 parents and they did a questionnaire, and it said that 83% of parents, might be more than that, considered their children's health and well-being to be the most important thing in life. And that probably does really sum it up, that when you are a parent, that is it. You're now the parent. I'm a mum, like first and foremost, and my children mean the most to me in the whole wide world. And my husband has come third after my first two children.
Just somewhere
down there,
not there.